Welcome to Arsenal 11 Hub, your home for Gunners lineups and transfer talk. Subscribe, like, and tell us the country you're watching from to join the Gunner family. This video shows Newcastle United versus Arsenal head-to-head squad depth or lineup in the Premier League match week 6. Goalkeepers: Nick Pope versus David Raya. Pope's shot-stopping and aerial dominance versus Raya's distribution and calm ball-playing ability, two different styles of modern keepers. Aaron Ramsdale versus Kepa Arrizabalaga. Ramsdale's reflexes and passion versus Kepa's experience and composure in high-pressure games. Defense: Sven Botman versus Gabriel Magalhaes. Both are strong left-footed center-backs, dominant in duels and aerial battles. A real clash of physicality. Fabian Schär versus Christian Mosquera. Schär's passing and long balls versus Mosquera's youthful pace and recovery ability. Creativity versus energy. Malik Tayab versus William Saliba. Malik's defensive aggression versus Saliba's calm authority. Two future world-class defenders in a power duel. Jamal Lascelles versus Piero Hincapié. Lascelles' leadership and aerial threat versus Hincapié's pace and versatility. Old school versus new school. Kieran Trippier versus Jurrien Timber. Trippier's crossing and set-piece threat versus Timber's dynamism and defensive solidity. Width versus strength. Tino Livramento versus Ben White. Livramento's raw pace and attacking overlaps versus White's hybrid role and composure on the ball. Width versus strength. Dan Burn versus Riccardo Calafiori. Burn's height and physical presence versus Calafiori's technical ability and modern fullback style. Lewis Hall versus Lewis Skelly. Hall's balance of defense-attack versus Skelly's emerging talent and defensive focus. Youth versus youth. Midfield: Sandro Tonali versus Martin Zubimendi. Tonali's tempo control and passing range versus Zubimendi's intelligence and pressing. Playmaker battle. Joe Willock versus Christian Norgard. Willock's box-to-box runs versus Norgard's defensive shielding. Attack versus protection. Bruno Guimaraes versus Declan Rice. Bruno's flair, ball progression, and tackles versus Rice's dominance, leadership, and physicality. A pure midfield war. Lewis Miley versus Mikel Merino. Lewis's rising star quality versus Merino's proven strength and vision. Youth versus experience. Joelinton versus Martin Odegaard. Joelinton's power and pressing versus Odegaard's creativity and vision. Different styles colliding. Jacob Ramsey versus Eberechi Eze. Ramsey's direct drive versus Eze's dribbling flair. Box-to-box energy versus skillful artistry. Attack: Anthony Elanga versus Ethan Nwaneri. Anthony's raw pace versus Nwaneri's emerging creativity. Youth versus youth. Jacob Murphy versus Bukayo Saka. Murphy's hard work and directness versus Saka's world-class end product. Biggest mismatch, but intriguing. Anthony Gordon versus Gabriel Martinelli. Gordon's pressing intensity versus Martinelli's blistering speed and finishing. Fire versus fire. Harvey Barnes versus Leandro Trossard. Harvey's pace and direct play versus Trossard's technical intelligence. Two different threats from the wide. Nick Woltemade versus Victor Gyökeres. Weltemade's physical presence and link-up play versus Gyökeres's lethal finishing and power. Striker duel. William Osula versus Andre Harriman. Osula's raw potential versus Harriman's rising talent. Future forwards battling it out. Arsenal versus Newcastle, a Premier League battle where only 3 points matter. Drop your predictions, hit like, and subscribe for every Gunners update. London is red.